So Ted Cruz is terrified that you have the right to vote. That's what he's saying behind closed doors to other conservatives where he didn't expect to be heard. But the AP got recording of him. I don't have the actual audio. I don't think the AP released it, but they've reported on Ted Cruz behind closed doors to other Republicans admitting that if voting rights are guaranteed, Republicans cannot win. Let me read you some of this. It says, on an invitation-only call last week, Senator Ted Cruz huddled with Republican state lawmakers to call them to battle on the issue of voting rights. Democrats are trying to expand voting rights to quote-unquote illegal aliens and other criminals, he claimed, and Republicans must do all they can to stop them. If they push through far-reaching election legislation now before the Senate, the GOP won't win elections again for generations, he said. Asked if there was room to compromise, Ted Cruz was blunt, no. H.R. 1's only objective is to ensure that the Democrats can never again lose another election, that they will win and maintain control of the House of Representatives and the Senate and of the state legislatures for the next century. And so there you have it. Ted Cruz is lying. There is no provision that the Democrats are putting in H.R. 1 to give voting rights to criminals or give voting rights to people that aren't even citizens. Those are just bald-faced lies. He is lying to his own people. He is lying even behind closed doors to Republicans. He's lying to them. He's lying to these people that I assume sit on, governorships and, state legislatures and maybe city councils and conservative parts of the country, saying to them, the Democrats want to make it so that non-Americans can vote. That is BS. It's a lie. Ted Cruz is lying. But there's a kernel of truth here that if every citizen that wants to vote gets to vote, the Republicans will not win very often. I don't think it's as bad as Ted Cruz, suggests. I do think the Republicans can still probably win elections now and then. But, I don't see them actually winning anywhere near half the time. If anyone who wants to vote gets to vote. I just don't see it. If they're not restricting the votes of black people and poor people and young people and other minorities, Republicans will not win. So Ted Cruz is being hyperbolic here, but he's not off base. He knows that the only way the GOP wins now is through gerrymandering, through the broken representation of the Senate, through the disproportionate, representation in the Senate of rural white voters, and from the broken electoral college. And in addition to all that, laws at the local level and at the state level and at the national level that make it harder for people like African Americans and others to meaningfully participate in democracy. And that if you remove any or all of those barriers, even just one, even if you keep the broken gerrymandering and the broken Senate and the broken electoral college, if you give every person the right to vote that is a citizen, then you're absolutely going to see Republicans lose. So this is all they got. This is all they got. The Republican Party has made a deal with the devil because they see the future. They see the present and especially demographic changes coming, the future. They see it. They have two choices. They know right now already they can only win minority rule type governments. They do not win federally with more votes than the Democrats. They have only won the popular vote twice in my lifetime for president. They have only actually won more votes in the House and Senate, aka their senators and their House members represent more voters than the Democratic members in both houses once in my lifetime, 1996, I believe. In my entire life then, there has basically never been a point where the Republicans have had more votes in all three branches than the Democrats. Whereas the Democrats, therefore, in a large chunk of my life, have always gotten more votes in the House and in the Senate and at the presidential level. And the Republicans still have ruled for a good chunk of that time. In some cases, they've ruled more despite getting less votes. And so the Republicans see this. They see this reality. And never to people like Ted Cruz, never to people like Ted Cruz do they stop and think, hey, maybe we need to change how we appeal to voters. We don't have to get rid of every, principle we have, but maybe certain elements of the Republican Party ideology and messaging and the way we portray ourselves to the world and the way we relate to women and to minorities and to new Americans and all these sorts of things, maybe there's some things we could do a little bit different and win some of those voters, and we maybe don't even lose our base. We can keep our base and expand our appealability. Never occurred to them. Right now, they have made a clear choice. Either expand who you reach or contract who gets to vote. That's what the Republicans are doing. They are putting all their eggs in the minority rule basket. That's what they're doing. People like Ted Cruz, they are lying. They are lying about what the Democrats are doing. They're trying to say, the worst criminals, the worst people who aren't even Americans, people coming across the border are bringing ballots. That's what he's effectively saying to other Republicans. It's not true. What is true is that he knows. Ted Cruz is not a dummy. He's not. He's actually a very intelligent man. He actually is. You can say what you want about him. The man is very intelligent. So he knows that there's two choices for the Republicans. Appeal to the American people or disenfranchise the American people. And he's chosen the latter. And so when you hear Republicans talking about H.R. 1 like it's some evil bill, remember that all it really tries to do is give every American who has the right to vote the ability to vote, ensuring they have access to their franchise. There is nothing wrong with that. Remember, there is only one party right now that wants to make it harder for the most marginalized Americans to vote. Ask yourself why that is, and ask yourself if that party has the interest of the people in their minds and in their hearts.